How can a leader monitor progress when they don't see their team actually doing their work? So how are they going to get reliable information on what the team as a whole and individual team members are doing? Many leaders are basically hoping for the best because they're not seeing their team members directly implementing, making decisions, even working together as a team away from team meetings. But they do need to get reliable information on how their team members are doing. This is a huge area of development for many leaders. And when we're in conversations with them, they might say something to us that sounds like, well, how am I supposed to know how well or what the quality of my team members' work is because I don't directly see the work? And it's a situation where I feel weird actually going there and monitoring them because how am I going to know that I'm seeing what's typical of what they're doing? Now, this is an opportunity for us to help leaders. Somehow they need to seek out and get the real story that's beyond their line of sight, that they don't see on a regular basis or perhaps at all. And it's a couple things. One is they need accurate information about how well their team members are doing, but they also need to get accurate information from those team members on how well their team members are doing. They really do need an accurate picture in terms of their whole organization and how implementation is going. We're talking about this issue in the patterns passage because there is a pattern of interaction between a leader and their team members that ensures that the leader knows how well the team is performing, even when the leader doesn't directly see it. Without this kind of interaction, the leader is left in the dark. First, let's take a look at what leaders often do now before we get to what they could be doing. In their one-to-one meetings with their team members, the conversation often sounds like this. Leader: so how is Project Y going? Team member: it's going good. We're busy because there's a lot on everybody's plate, but it's going well. Leader: great. Or the team member might mention a problem. So then it could sound like this. Leader: so how is Project Y going? Team: the deadline is slipping by 3 days. Leader: what's the problem with the deadline? Team member: the vendor called at the last minute to say there's been a shipping delay, but we're working on it. Then the leader usually does one of two replies. Either the leader says, we can't afford that kind of slippage, do what you can to get it back on track. Or they say, we can't afford that kind of slippage, here's what I want you to do about it. They either go hands off or totally take over the problem solving, taking it out of the team members' hands. What I help leaders understand is that they need to do behavior description-based interviewing of their direct reports about what it is that they're doing so that when a team member says, yeah, everything's fine, that the leader doesn't just accept that. Or when team members say there's a problem, the leader doesn't either brush it off or immediately start problem solving it for them. So how can you help the leader ask questions so that what they're hearing from their team is an accurate picture of what's happening, even though the leader hasn't seen it? Once they get involved with this new for them interactional pattern, it's as though they've seen the movie themselves, that there's a video camera that's recorded what the leader needs to know. It's like they were there. It's that detailed, as opposed to just saying either, okay, sounds like you know what you need to do, or step aside while I handle this. The key interaction pattern is the leader asking for specific, observable, measurable descriptions of behavior from the team member regarding the situation the leader asks about. So the leader isn't looking for adverbs and adjectives like great, fine, slowly, frustrating, quickly, excellent, amazing. Instead, the leader looks for descriptions of behavior that accurately portray what actually happened, not someone's interpretation of what happened. This allows the leader to monitor what they don't directly witness. Here's an example of a leader who asks for behavior descriptions instead of interpretations, so they can view the video, as it were, of what they didn't directly observe. It's also an example of what the leader can do when the team member is used to answering in vague generalities. Leader: how did your alignment conversation with your team go last week about their responsibilities for Project Y? Team member: it went great. Leader: can you tell me about it? Team member: it was pretty low-key because they got right on board. So then the leader says, tell me more about it. For instance, how do you know they fully understood their responsibilities for Project Y? Team member: it was so straightforward, there were hardly any questions. Leader. So that sounds like you explained their responsibilities, asked if anyone had any questions, and then hardly anyone offered a question. Have I got that right? Team member. Yep, that's about how it went. Leader. Well, actually, that doesn't guarantee they have the same understanding as you. It just means they hardly asked any questions. Did you ask anyone to summarize what they understood their responsibilities to be? The team member pauses. Oops, they forgot that part. So the team member responds, now that you mention it, no, I didn't. Leader. And you may anticipate what I'm about to ask next. Tell me what some of their reservations and excitements and concerns were about having those responsibilities. Team member. Nobody brought any of that up. Leader. Did you ask for their reactions? Team member. Not specifically. I figured they would bring up the ones they cared about. Leader. Well, so far, it sounds like you had an announcement meeting, but not an alignment meeting. At an alignment meeting, people leave the meeting committed to the responsibilities you laid out, and you know just how committed they are. Let's talk through again what elements you need to have for a true alignment meeting so you're more ready next time. And there does need to be a next time, a more thorough discussion with your team about Project Y before the end of next week. You help leaders ask more and more specific behavior description questions so they grow more and more confident that they don't have to be there to get the accurate information because they ensure that they get the accurate information in these one-to-one or even team meetings. This particular kind of one-to-one conversation with each team member is also a way that leaders can develop their leadership teams to do the same discussions with their teams. This is what I call a 2-for-1 approach to leadership development because your client develops the ability to see what's happening beyond their line of sight during implementation. And secondly, they also develop each team member who has their own teams to lead and monitor in the same way. As they experience their boss monitoring their performance by asking for behavior descriptions, your client can then tell their own team members to do that same level of monitoring of their team members. So your client not only learns to do behavior description interviewing of team members, but also trains these same team members to do behavioral description interviewing with their teams. Of course, as executive coaches, we use behavior description interviewing with our clients all the time. We can tell when we get overly generalized information from leaders as they talk to us about what they are doing with their teams. Or if you find that you are at a dead end with a leader who is disgruntled with their team but seems unable to find success with the action plan they developed during your previous session, that is the perfect time to break out behavior description interviewing and ask them about their attempts to go live with their action plan. You may find that the leader leaves out critical information when they tell you what's happening, not because they want to hide anything, but because they just don't think to get that specific. That's why having this interactional pattern in your toolbox is so valuable. Now the leader has experienced what it's like to be challenged to describe a situation more specifically so that it's observable from afar. And this is great because now they know what it's going to feel like on the team member side when the leader goes and talks to a team member and asks for that same behavior description based information. Behavior description-based interviewing is definitely a transferable skill from the coach to the leader, and then from the leader to their team, and then from that team member to their team. And I love when that happens.